Welcome to Midlife Unlimited Life for Five, or maybe a little bit longer. Who knows? I'm your host, Kate Porter, the Midlife Metamorphosis Coach, and I'm delighted to be joined. We are racking these up by my episode 48 guest, the wonderful Nikki Leader, spiritual teacher, tarot and sound practitioner, to give a taste of our aforementioned episode 48, how to use tarot as a tool to support midlife change, that's available now wherever you listen to your podcasts. So welcome, Nikki. It is wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Kate.
And joining me all the way from France. So if the gremlins creep in, bear with us. I'm sure it'll be fine. Now,
it is.
One of the things that midlife is all about is busting myths, because there are a load of them surrounding midlife. And one thing we dive straight into with our episode is busting the big myth. You're not a fortune teller, are you?
No, I'm not a fortune teller.
And I think there's so much comes about, this lady in a headscarf sitting in the little tent at a fairground, and also the kind of a whole woo-woo and being like dark arts. And no, I mean, I've been fascinated by tarot for years, since I saw Jane Seymour on Live and Let Die. And I've actually bought the version of the cards that she uses in the film. But that's as far as I got, which is why I'm all about taking the action. It might take a little while sometimes, but I take it. That's why I wanted you to come on to Midlife Unlimited. So tarot, I mean, it wasn't part of your game plan. It's not something that you discovered as a child or anything like that, is it? It was a bit of a midlife realization for you.
Well, yes, it actually came a bit earlier than that, depending on where midlife is.
Well, I get asked that all the time, and I say in the blackest sense of the word is, how long do you think you're going to?
Yeah. What is midlife? But anyway, I think we've got a generic. Everybody has a generic view on midlife.
I think 40s, 50s.
So I came to this in my 30s. And as we chatted on the podcast, it was really, I always believe that this work actually finds you, and the world is absolutely raging through this transformation at the moment. So I'm seeing all over the place now. It's kind of this explosion of spirituality as a business, and this sort of Eastern philosophy, or South American, but the rise of the indigenous tribes and the medicine that they use for their own self-awareness, that isn't conventional medicine in the West as we know it, but it's much more of connection. And it's connection, it's intuition, it is all those things that build the qualities that, frankly, in the West, I think we have lost: the trust, the confidence, real self-belief, self-love, and all those things. With the distraction of modern day, we never stop to think about them. We never stop to connect with ourselves. And one of the reasons I love tarot or oracle cards or any form of real connection, but particularly the oracles and things like that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, is that it just gives an opportunity, perhaps just when you pick up one card, but you stop and you just take a deep breath.
I picked up this morning.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm going to keep it there.
Absolutely. And whatever that has triggered for you, look at your energy now. You've been uplifted. You feel positive about it. That might trigger something else in somebody who's just had a huge divorce or a big breakup or something.
But that's something that we talk about as well, isn't it? About interpretation and things. One thing before we go more into that, and to the difference between, or is there a difference between oracle and tarot, is something that you say in the episode that I found fascinating in terms of this awareness and this connection and this sixth sense, if that is the right word. I'm not sure. As children, we have it, don't we? But we have it knocked out of us by this whole thing that is life.
Yes, and I am hoping that the small shifts I'm seeing in education, in more conscious parenting from young people, that actually that is going to come back. This connection to nature, this connection to creativity. We are creative souls. We have to do this. We have to. It's the right side of our brain. So that's
so much in midlife. I talk about unleashing this childlike curiosity that we've stifled. And it is just so powerful, isn't it? Sorry, I
Yeah.
did interrupt you then. So yeah, oracle cards, tarot cards. I'm taking it that there's no right or wrong here, is there? There's no. It's all about finding what works for you, isn't it? I think anyone watching this who's new to tarot, who's new to oracle, or who's been dabbling, if that's the right word,
Yeah.
or literally uses it as one of the foundations for self-awareness and spiritual well-being.
Yeah.
There's no. Well, there are right and wrong in terms of you're very wary of misuse of it, aren't you? But in terms of what works for you, it's about experimenting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And isn't midlife, when maybe kids go or you have a big life change, it's all about exploration again.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to explore it. We need to just park the fear of to what if, but the difference, I personally would start with an oracle deck if people are looking or wanting to start with this, just because often they're more modern. They carry the energy of probably somebody who's still alive, which is quite nice as well. And don't underestimate the energy of the cards, of the people who've made them, of the artist. It's all, it's all within your deck that you choose, and you'll just energetically get drawn to it.
Well, that is so interesting what you said, because the Tarot of the Witches that I've got, the set, I can't remember who they're by, the artist, but it was the images. I love retro and vintage, and the actual images have got a real feel to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. And the difference between tarot and oracle really is tarot is more of a system. It's more of a life path journey. It's called the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And oracle cards can be used in the same way because they can layer, and all these different cards can layer. So you'll often see tarot readers with all sorts of different decks, not just tarot. Some people get drawn just to tarot. Some people get drawn just to Akashic record cards. And some people get drawn just to spiritual animal. I tend to use a mixture because we begin to layer as the reading goes on. We start to layer what is coming up for people and what they need to help them move forwards in a very open, sort of grounded, down-to-earth way, without focusing on something that perhaps they think they need guidance on, but there might be a much bigger root cause that comes up. And that completely sort of lets go. And normally, I've just done a fair actually, when I do often readings and I say, would you like to focus on one thing? People often say, well, yes, but, and then I say, okay, let's go general, because actually your question will probably be answered in the general reading anyway. So it's, yeah, we can get too hung up on, if I get the answer to this problem, that's the solution, and then everything will change. And I would invite people to ask if that's actually true. Because
I think that relates to the coaching that I do as well, because as you say, by getting super specific, we can actually rule out other things which can be explored. Now, I'm rather excited because I've seen you shuffling there. So would you demonstrate how it works? Obviously not a full reading as such, but how does it work? Do you draw a card? Do you ask your guest, how do you refer to the person that comes for a reading?
I refer to them as clients.
Client.
Because it's an exchange, and I do this professionally. So I've got the Sacred Destiny deck here by Denise Lynn, and this is an oracle deck. So if I shuffle, so while I'm shuffling, but I will have already sat before I have any client. I've sat, I've meditated, I've invited my spirit guides to come through, where I receive those intuitive whispers and the intuition. And I invite my guides to connect with my clients' guides. Everybody has a spirit guide. So I will start to shuffle. And as I do, I invite the client, we take 3 deep breaths. And then I invite the client to ask in their mind, what do they need to help them move forwards today? And then they take a deep breath. And then normally I've got a few decks with me, and I'll just give them the colors so they have no idea. They won't attach to spirit animal or sacred destiny or whatever that might be. So I just give them the color. They choose a color that relates to a deck, and we start with that deck. So I would say, do you want the blue deck or something? Or a pink deck or a red deck. And then I start to shuffle. And then normally with a longer reading, I put 3 cards down. That gives me a framework. But because I'm intuiting and because I work as a psychic medium, often somebody in spirit might come through with a message immediately, or I'll get an age of somebody when a trauma happened. So it is quite multi-layered. But when you're just looking at the cards as a beginner, so what do I need to help me move forwards today, on this day? And the card is delight. So I would invite the client to first look at where, why. Maybe they're feeling very sad, and maybe it's about connecting to the very fragile energy of delight. You know, what does that mean? Somebody might say, oh my goodness, last night I had a box of Turkish delight. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
You know, there is everything.
So many multi-layered.
So open and so multi-layered. Maybe their grandfather comes through as a bird. You know, there's all sorts of things. Look at the colors, the green, that's very heart
chakra. Or where they
chakra.
heard bird song and noticed it really strongly, and where were they and what were they thinking and where they were going. So kind of the connectors that bring them all together.
Look at the color of the flowers. You know, maybe there's all sorts of things that I would then read into that, and I'm drawn to the specs that you know, that are in there. So I would look at that in very, very many ways. It's got quite a dark frame around it. So is the client reframing life in a dark way at the moment? And there's just, you know, there's so much. But how I work is I will start to talk, the information comes, and without doubt, if I ask for half an hour of inspirational speaking, that's what I'll get. And then the energy goes and it just stops. So it's that is because I've practiced, and, you know, I've done this for a long time, but I'm very specific about the way I work, and everybody works in a different way. So I've got a deck of tarot here, and I'm literally just going to open it, and everybody can do that. And I have the Magician. So that is major arcana. There's so much in this, but this is potentially about somebody explaining to them that they've already got the tools. If they're procrastinating about something, they already have the tools at their fingertips. However, the Magician, maybe at a party, will trick. So it's about really grounding, about really finding that center. So they dive in and they connect with those things. There's red roses on here. There's an infinity symbol above. There's a number 8. It's the card number 1. There's just so much.
What's on the table in front of him? I was drawn to that. It looks like a vase or something.
Yes, so those are cups. So all those things represent, they represent the suits. So this is where the Magician has everything that they need, and it's really about that creative side. But again, you know, you buy into trust with that. You know, are you trusting yourself that actually you have got everything within you? And this could be a reminder. It could be a forecast of something that magically might appear from somewhere. It could be just to be mindful of somebody around them who might be not, you know, not being honest or tricking. And they might say, wow, yes, you know, somebody tricked them into doing something, or but if it's major arcana, and it also depends on which cards are either side of them. So it's all a process. And this is where tarot has so many layers to it, but it's more, I would say it's more of a path. But by the time I've chosen this and 2 others, or the client has, then we've got a pretty good framework. So right from the get-go, the reading starts to take on its own energy and process.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited to start delving into it more myself. And one of the tips, obviously, go and listen to our episode, because there's so many wonderful stories, insights, golden nuggets, tips, is to get a little notebook as well. So that's something that I'm going to be doing, to actually note, like the things you've been talking about, note down what you saw, what you thought, what you felt. Now, obviously, all your details are on the show notes for our full-length audio episode, available now wherever you listen to your podcast, and on your guest profile on the Midlife Unlimited podcast website. But anyone watching and there's going to be loads who will want to get in touch and find out more, how can they connect with you, Nikki?
So I'm active on Instagram. My account is at Nikki Leader, Nikki, as the name on our recording, and my website is nikkileader.com. Everything is there. All the sound events I do, you can book things immediately. You can book things in my link in bio in Instagram as well. So it takes you quickly to whatever you want. And if you just want to chat and looking at all that I do, which is I do soul alignment program and soul plan readings. Do just call me for a chat. I've got a link for a 15-minute chat, and we can just kind of explore what you feel you might be most helpful for you at the time. What you might most need.
No, I love that, because it's about, isn't it? When you try anything new, or you think, I want to get more involved in this. It's all about finding what works for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I'll use that as a little segue for my plug. Obviously, come and subscribe to Midlife Unlimited here on YouTube. That would be fabulous. Doesn't cost you a penny, and we like the support. We like to feel we're in good company. But also, if you're watching this and thinking, video podcasting, I fancy doing a bit of that, or you're listening to our full-length episode, well, I've got a new community over on the school platform, SKOOL, Pop Your Podcast Cherry. Yep, you heard that right. We like playing with words. Love here. So come and join. Founding member offers on at the moment. Come and join me over there. Nikki, it's been an absolute joy. I could talk to you all day, but I will let you get back to your family. Have a wonderful time. Catch up soon. Thank you for watching. Here's to exploring new things. I'm going to go off and and living midlife unlimited. Thanks ever so much, Nikki.
Take care.
Bye.